Over the past few weeks, I've noticed more and more expats, both in real life and across online forums, talking about the adultery extortion scam here in the Philippines. That's why I decided to make this video. I want to get the word out because this is real, it's happening, and guys need to be careful. This place is paradise, sure, but it is also a jungle. And in this jungle, you are not the hunter, you are the prey, you are a walking wallet with legs, and there is a specific trap laid out for you that is so perfect, so legally airtight, and so devastating that by the time you realize you're in it, you are already finished. I am talking about the adultery extortion scam. The locals call it a setup. I call it the most efficient way to destroy a foreigner's life in under 24 hours. I've been living here for years. I've seen guys come and go. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the ones that keep me up at night are the friends I've lost not to disease or accidents, but to this specific scam. I'm going to tell you exactly how it works. The reason this scam works, the reason it is so incredibly dangerous, is because of a weaponized quirk in Philippine law. In your country and in my country back home, if you sleep with a married woman, it's a moral failing. Maybe your husband divorces her. Maybe he punches you in the nose. But the police, they don't care. The government doesn't care. It's a civil matter. Here it is a crime. I'm not speaking metaphorically. I mean it is a criminal offense written into the revised penal code, specifically Article 333. If a married woman has sexual relations with a man who is not her husband, she is committing a crime. And you, the man, if you knew she was married, or even if the circumstances suggest you should have known, you are criminally liable too. The penalty is prison, up to 6 years in a crowded, hot, dangerous cell where you will be the only foreigner. But here is the catch. Here is the twisted little detail that makes this scam a multi-million peso industry. Adultery is classified as a private crime. This means the police cannot just arrest you because they feel like it. The state cannot prosecute you on its own. The only person who can start the legal process is the offended spouse, the husband. He holds the trigger. He decides if you go to jail or if you walk free. And because he controls the trigger, he can sell you your freedom. Do you understand what I'm saying? The law effectively gives a husband the legal right to hold you hostage. Let me paint a picture for you. I want you to imagine a guy named Mark. This is a real story, though I've changed his name to protect what little dignity he has left. Mark was a smart guy. He was a retired engineer, cautious with his money, not a drinker. He met a girl at a mall in Cebu. Let's call her Joy. She was 30 years younger than him. Pretty, modest, spoke good English. She wasn't a bar girl. She worked in a shop. She seemed genuine. They started texting. She told him her sad story. She said she was separated. That's the magic word you need to watch out for. Separated. She told him her ex-husband was a drunk, that he beat her, that she left him 5 years ago and hadn't seen him since. She said she was single in her heart, just waiting for the annulment papers, because annulments here are expensive and take years. Mark believed her. Why wouldn't he? It sounded plausible. It sounded tragic. He wanted to be the hero. They went out for dinner a few times. She was shy. She didn't ask for money. That's how they hook you. They play the long game. They don't ask for 1,000 pesos for a taxi. They wait for the millions. Finally, after a few weeks, she invites him to her place. Or maybe she suggests a specific hotel. Mark goes. He's happy. He thinks he's found a girlfriend. They get intimate. 30 minutes later, the door gets kicked in. I'm talking literally kicked in. 3 men storm the room. One of them is screaming in Tagalog, looking like he's about to kill someone. That's the husband. The other two, they might be police officers, real ones. Or maybe they are barangay officials, village watchmen. They have badges. They have handcuffs. The chaos is absolute. The woman is crying, screaming that she's sorry. The husband is lunging at Mark, and the cops are holding him back. The husband is shouting, "That is my wife! You are sleeping with my wife!" He pulls out a marriage certificate. He pulls out photos of their wedding. Mark is terrified. He's half naked, confused, and surrounded. The cops tell him, "Sir, this is a very serious offense. Adultery. You're going to jail. We have to deport you. You will be blacklisted." They start dragging him out. They put the handcuffs on. The threat of jail in a foreign country is the most primal fear you can feel. You've seen the movies. You know what those jails are like. Then, in the middle of the screaming, everything pauses. One of the cops pulls Mark aside, or maybe the husband suddenly calms down just a fraction. They say, "Look, the husband is very angry. He wants to file the case, but maybe if you help him, he will forgive you." And there it is, the number. He wants 200,000 pesos for his pain and suffering. If you pay, he signs an affidavit of desistance. He drops the case. You walk away. If you don't pay, you go to the precinct right now. You get booked, and you stay in jail until trial. Mark paid. He wired money from back home. He paid 100,000 pesos because he negotiated them down, thinking he got a deal. As soon as the money was transferred, the husband signed a paper, the cops took the cuffs off, and they all left. Mark never saw Joy again. Here is the reality check. Joy was in on it. The husband was in on it. The cops were in on it. It was a play, scripted from the first moment she smiled at him in the mall. They targeted him. They probably watched him for days to see if he had money. This isn't just about bad luck. This is an industry. There are syndicates that run these girls. They have the husband ready on speed dial. Sometimes the husband isn't even the husband. He's just a partner acting the role, but they have a fake marriage certificate that looks real enough to scare the hell out of you in a dimly lit hotel room. You have to understand the level of coordination involved. They know exactly where the blind spots in the law are. They know that foreigners are terrified of the legal system here. They know we don't speak the language. They know we are isolated. Let's talk about the separated trap, because this is where most good men fall. You meet a woman, and she tells you she is separated. In your culture, separated means you are done. You are moving on. You file for divorce, and in 6 months you are free. In the Philippines, there is no divorce. Let me repeat that. There is no divorce. There is only annulment, which essentially means proving the marriage never existed in the first place. It costs thousands of dollars and takes years. Until a judge bangs that gavel and signs the final decree, she is married. Period. It doesn't matter if she hasn't seen her husband in 10 years. It doesn't matter if he has a new family. It doesn't matter if he signed a piece of paper saying she can have a boyfriend. That paper is worthless in criminal court. If she is not annulled, she is married. And if she is married, the husband owns the weapon. I had a friend. Let's call him Steve. Steve was a good guy, a bit naive. He met a woman who swore up and down her husband was dead. She said she was a widow. She even cried when she talked about the funeral. Steve moved her into his condo. They lived together for 6 months. He bought her clothes. He sent her kids to school. He was invested. One day, the dead husband knocks on the door with a lawyer and 2 policemen. Turns out he wasn't dead. He was just working in Saudi Arabia. Or maybe he was just waiting in the next province for the pot to get sweet enough. He sued Steve for adultery. Steve tried to fight it. He said, "She told me she was a widow." The prosecutor looked at him and said, "Did you check her Senomar?" That's the Certificate of No Marriage. It's a document from the Philippine Statistics Authority. It's the only proof that matters. Steve hadn't checked. He trusted her. And because he didn't verify, the law assumed he was negligent. The assumption is often that the foreigner simply didn't care. The husband demanded 500,000 pesos. Steve refused to pay on principle. He spent 3 weeks in a city jail. He described it as sleeping like sardines, skin to skin with 30 other men in a cell meant for 5. He got skin infections. He lost 20 pounds. Eventually he broke. He paid the settlement just to get out. He was deported a week later and banned from ever entering the Philippines again. So how do you spot this? How do you walk through a minefield without getting blown up? First, you have to look at the speed of things. If a woman is rushing you, that is a red flag the size of a billboard. If she wants to go to a hotel on the first night, or if she wants you to come to her house immediately, be careful. The scammers want to close the deal quickly. They don't want to date you for 6 months. That's too much overhead. They want the bust to happen fast. Watch out for the ID game. You're at a restaurant, maybe her bag is open. Look at her ID. Does the name match what she told you? Does it have a middle name that sounds like a maiden name and a last name that sounds different? If she hides her ID, or if she tells you she lost it, walk away and pay attention to the location. If she insists on a specific hotel or location, it's because the setup is already there. Maybe the staff is paid off to let the husband in. Maybe there's a camera. And stay away from the separated ones. Just don't do it. It's not worth the risk. There are millions of single women in this country. Why would you risk your freedom for the one who carries a legal hand grenade in her purse? If she says, "I'm working on my annulment," stop dating her immediately. You're putting yourself at massive risk. Now, what happens if you screw up? What happens if you are in that room, the door is kicked in, and the husband is screaming for money? This is crucial. You need to keep your head when your heart is pounding out of your chest. The scammers rely on shock and awe. They want you to panic and reach for your wallet. Do not admit anything. Do not say, "I'm sorry." Do not say, "I didn't know." Do not sign anything. They will try to make you sign a confession or a promissory note. Do not touch a pen. The law requires that you knew she was married. That is the key element of the crime for the man. If you honestly didn't know and she lied to you, you have a defense. But if you apologize, that can be twisted into an admission of guilt. Here is a secret. Most of these scammers do not want to go to court. Going to court takes years. It requires hiring a real prosecutor. It requires showing up at hearings. It exposes them to scrutiny. If the police are corrupt, they definitely don't want a spotlight on their operation. They want quick cash. They want you to pay tonight. If you call their bluff, if you say, "I have no money, I did nothing wrong, let's go to the station and I will call my lawyer," sometimes, just sometimes, the air goes out of the balloon. They realize you are a hard target. They might try to intimidate you more, but if you hold the line, the price starts dropping. Or they might just kick you out and look for an easier victim. But don't rely on being a hero. The best fight is the one you aren't in. The terrifying part of the scam is that it can happen to anyone who lets their guard down. It targets the lonely. It targets the guys who come here looking for love because they felt invisible back home. You come here and suddenly you have attention. You have beautiful women laughing at your jokes. It's intoxicating. It acts like a drug, and like a drug, it makes you stupid. You stop asking questions. You stop looking for red flags. You just want to believe the fantasy. You want to believe that this 23-year-old model really loves you for your personality and your bald head, and that's when they get you. You need to be cynical. It's a sad thing to say, but you have to operate with a baseline of suspicion. Every time you meet someone new, you have to ask yourself, what is the angle? And let's talk about the police for a second. I'm not saying all police here are bad. There are good, honest cops. But in these setups, the ones who show up are often part of the payroll. They get a cut of the settlement. That's why they pressure you to settle. They will tell you, "Sir, just pay him. It's easier. You don't want to go to jail. It's very dirty there." They act like they are your friends, giving you advice. They are not your friends. They are closers for the deal. If you are taken to the station, stay silent until you have counsel. If you have a friend locally, call them. You need witnesses. You need eyes on the situation. The more light you shine on the cockroach, the faster it scuttles away. There is another variation of this scam you should know. Sometimes the husband waits. He waits until you have built a life. Maybe you've been with the girl for 2 years. You've bought a house, in her name, of course, because foreigners can't own land. You've bought a car. Then, when the relationship goes sour, or when you decide to leave, suddenly the husband appears. He was there the whole time in the background. Maybe he's a cousin she introduced you to. Maybe he's the brother who drives you around. He files the adultery case then, not to get a quick settlement, but to force you to leave everything behind. Sign over the car, sign over the rights to the house, and I won't send you to jail. It's the ultimate leverage. You leave the country with nothing but your shirt, and they keep the house, the car, and your retirement savings. It happens every single day. So look, I'm not telling you this to scare you away. I love this country. I've lived here for a long time. The people are generally wonderful, the food is great, the life is easy, but you have to respect the danger. You wouldn't swim in shark-infested waters with a bleeding cut on your leg, would you? Dating a married woman here, or a separated woman, or a woman whose background you haven't verified is exactly that. It is blood in the water. So, here is your homework. Before you get serious with anyone, you talk to them about their status. You look them in the eye, you ask the hard questions. If they dodge, you run. If they cry, you wait for the tears to stop and ask again. And if you ever hear that door get kicked in, you lock your jaw, you shut your mouth, and you prepare for war. Do not open your wallet. Because once you pay, you are not just a victim, you are a target for life. They will know you pay. They will come back, or they will sell your name to other groups. Here is a guy who pays. Do you know anyone who has experienced this, or have you heard of this scam before? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.